Hello everyone. Today we have Ms. Promila Arun Bij with us. She is an education consultant with decades of experience in the education-based interventions. She has expertise in leadership development, human capital management, research-based projects, business development, human resource, project management, and CSR. Welcome to the podcast, Ms. Promila.
Good morning, Alokesh. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Very well, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for the time that you have taken out from my busy schedule.
Thank you, Alokesh. Pleasure.
So, Ms. Promila, this podcast is about dwelling deeper into the education sector and the social sector in general, trying to understand what has happened in the past, what is happening, and what the future beholds for us. This talk will be about your journey, how you have pursued in this sector, and the things that you have done. It's basically learning from your insights and spreading it across to our listeners. And in the process, people might develop their skill sets. People might engage in certain things that you talk about.
Wow, so you've already put me on the back foot as to, people are going to follow this. I hope I'm able to do justice to that.
I'm sure, Ms. Promila, you would never be in the back foot. Things that I have seen while working with you, and also what the projects that you've done, I can bet on it that you've never been in the back foot.
Thank you, Alokesh, for that confidence. Thank you.
So to begin with, Ms. Promila, can you share your journey in the education sector and the human resource field? How has it been? How did you start?
Sure. So, I'm Promila Arun Bij is my full name, and I am a 66-year-old woman. A very process-driven CSR professional and part of education domain for more than 3 decades. I started my journey with a very simple and humble beginning in 1986, which marked my debut in the education world as a computer teacher. I had no major degrees, no award list, no mentor, no guide, no domain, no MyBap, and no parents. But, nothing of the sort that would qualify me to do what I really wanted to do, that is, be a part of the change. Actually, what this teaching learning process can actually bring. Yet with time, I went on to leading a team, a big team of say 100 plus, reaching out to thousands of schools, several thousand educators, impacting millions of students, working closely as a partner consultant, not only with organizations like Microsoft, IBM, Onita, Adobe, HDFC, to name a few, but with states and union territories across India and Sri Lanka. I was fortunate to reach many, many unexplored territories like Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep. Believe me, I actually enjoyed every hurdle and challenge that these challenging domains threw at me. I have several anecdotes from these places, but another time maybe. I traveled extensively for my work and also shared my thoughts and experiences of national and international forums. The idea behind sharing this brief is my favorite one-liner. If I can do it, so can you.
Wow, that's like tons of experience.
Yes, I enjoyed every bit of it, Alokesh, every bit of it.
So, what was the crucial point or the event that actually inspired you to become an education consultant? And how has been your role in shaping the education landscape across India?
I would not be, saying that, I played a great role in shaping the education landscape. But yes, I've done my bit. And how my career started in this field was, when I started as a computer teacher, yes, at that time it used to be computer teacher, not information technology, etc., way back in 1986, I noticed the little interest and impact that propelled the students and educators alike by using technology at that time with limited resource. I remember the BBC machine, which we started working on with 10 KB RAM. And even that could bring so much excitement in the classroom. I started thinking, what is it that is missing in our education system that such a simple change can bring so much joy in classroom? Maybe that was the trigger. I left teaching after the initial years of my actual being a teacher and started freelance journey as a consultant. And journey began by establishing IT resource centers in schools, conducting knowledge festivals across Delhi and NCR, introducing project-based learning at that time, and empowering the subject teachers to use tech to make classrooms. So yes, I in my career of bringing change in the educational landscape has been through technology. So that could be a trigger point at that time. I can say not really any very big event, but the ground experience that I gathered at my school.
You said 10 KB, right?
Yeah, 10 KB RAM. All we could do in the basic was we didn't even have GW basic. We had Basica. I remember when we used to take printouts on a dot matrix printer. My God, khar, it would go. And when I did my system analyst course way back in 1985 end, I used to sleep on the floor at night to be able to complete the printing of my program, because it would go page after page after page after page. And if God forbid, if anything broke on the sides of those dotted things, perforated parts, I had to start all over again. So while printing a program, I actually used to sleep at night in one separate room and do the printing. So that was the time. I remember in my school when we had the first XT, I locked that room and put a big label outside only for the computer club and the teachers. That was in Modern School, Barakamba Road. And so I started my career from that time.
No, it's just so hard to imagine such a scenario like in today's era when you're dealing with TBs of RAM and hard drives.
Absolutely.
Like you started off with 10 KB. That's like I don't know. It's like
I
the
know all it
tiniest.
used to be. Yes, all it used to be is A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, C is A plus B, print C. Finish, program finish.
And you also have this language called Logo, the with the
Yes,
turtle.
of course. Pen up, pen down. Yes,
Pen up, yeah.
I still remember it.
Yeah. I was a student back then, and that's when these programming languages started making inroads into the school
Yes,
curriculum.
yes.
It's quite funny when you remember that. It's quite a nostalgia.
Yes, absolutely. For class in 11 and 12 that I used to teach, we felt we are very progressed when we started teaching them GW basic, and then came in Pascal, and then C, and then C++, and so on. So I'm talking about the dark ages of technology.
Yeah. Or that's when the evolution
Yeah,
started.
it all began. It all
Right,
began.
the genesis of everything.
Yes.
So, like, I can hear a lot of scenarios where you have led these initiatives, be it in your school or in the interventions. So, like, how important is leadership in today's educational institutions? And, like, what advice would you have for those aspiring to become educational leaders?
Lokesh, leadership, I think, is one of the most important ingredients for growth in any organization, and more so in educational institutions, because that is where you are likely to nurture leaders. As far as my advice goes, it really does not require any formal education alone, but if you're passionate, unbiased, independent thinker, and hunger to stay with the pace, because this particular domain, I think educational domain is facing the maximum changes and so many challenges. If we really go into it, maybe as we talk, we will go into those. But if you don't have the capacity to adapt, and keep pace with the essential changes that are required to be an educational leader, I think don't be one. So my advice actually will be to not be a preacher in this field, be a practitioner, and only then you will be able to do something. Unless you're passionate about making a difference across all pillars of education, at times people who are leaders, and I'm saying this with experience, make a mistake of thinking that if you're an education leader, your target audience is students alone. No, that's not the case. Everybody associated, there are several pillars, when if you talk about children, you talk about parents, you talk about industry, you talk about economic growth, you talk about schools. There are multiple pillars under this education umbrella, and unless and until you feel that you can make a difference across these pillars, there's no point. You can't. It says no. You can't empower just one finger if you want to punch somebody. Sorry about this, but you need to empower the whole fist. You need to have your fist strong to be able to make that punch and make a difference, whether you want to make a hole or you want to just punch somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's what my advice would be. This domain does have a lot of challenges. So one has to be very, very passionate about what you're going to do in this. You know it yourself. You are in it, and you are a very fine example of this.
Well, I don't know about being a fine example, but I definitely try.
Yeah.
But as leaders, you have to work with a lot of people with different temperament, different skill sets, and that's where the human capital management comes in. So could you discuss the role of this human capital management, specifically in the education sector, and its impact on career growth? Because it's very important. People who enter any sector, they have certain aspirations to grow career-wise. So what role do you see human capital management playing in this realm?
The salt of an edible and tasty food, HCM. I personally and strongly feel, and have led by example, I would like to claim here without being modest, that human capital is the most important asset in any organization. However, I never believed in hiring and firing. Nurturing a talent to suit specific requirements of your organization is not an easy task, but an extremely important one. Whether it is business goal or economic stability or social impact, HCM is the key to a successful SOP. You could create SOPs, you could create as many standards and processes that you want, but unless you have motivated the HCM enough to be able to follow that SOP, nothing works. The career growth comes automatically to personnel who have been trained with the right amount of ideology, support, concern, recognition, and monetary awards. Do not forget that, because that's also very, very important. These personnel actually would go on to becoming, they will be in a position, as we talked already about, adopting and adapting situations. Hence, they will turn out to be the biggest assets anywhere. So, HCM, I think, is the core strength of any organization. And they should not bother about the career growth if they are trained well in these sectors that I talked about, the creating ideologies and creating the support system, etc. They will automatically rise and do well in careers.
Yeah, I agree. But do you feel these ethos that you spoke about, these principles, these values of nurturing people in an organization, has somewhat taken a backseat as far as organizations are concerned?
To answer that question, it may not be such a black and white answer that yes, it has taken a backseat. It may not have taken a backseat. However, there are other challenges that I can only talk about my domain, which has primarily been under the CSR. Sometimes we get so directed and guided by the rules and regulations of the projects, by the targets that are given there. That
it has become target oriented.
Yes, it becomes target oriented, and hence sometimes these values take a backseat. Having said that, an organization need not put this on the backseat as an organizational value. There is still there is still a scope of creating this ethos within the system with exceptions. Exceptions are always there. So there can be that if you have this situation, you may differ, you may do it, but at the core of your systematic working in the organization, this should follow this ethos, and that comes under HR. That comes under the value system that you create for an employee, and how do you create that? That's another discussion altogether.
Yeah. So with your background in corporate social responsibility, how can educational institutions integrate social responsibility into their programs, and how might it benefit both students and the community?
See, social responsibility is actually to us a topic that starts from home for a child to formal education to practicing it in lifetime. With today's rising concern with regard to women empowerment, with safety, drawing, all these things they draw a fine line between confidence and overconfidence. The child abuse, simple social etiquettes, and a big list between moral policing and the law of land. It becomes imperative for educational institutes to incorporate social responsibility as part of their compliances. They should make it an integral part of each and every staff member's profile. Then hope that it will help the individuals and the community at large. So while we were talking a minute back about how these values can be integrated, here is where the values can be integrated. As a systematic approach in your compliances of the organization, you should be able to build such tools unfortunately, these compliances and tools cannot be forced upon people. It can only be inculcated in people. So for that inculcation, what you can do is create situations, create stories, create incidences where you ask your members of your staff to react on those stories and discuss it across. Maybe that will trigger those social responsibility factors in their minds and something to follow. So it has to be an integrated approach. It has to be an integrated system. Social responsibility is not something that you can work in isolation.
Could you share a success story of team building initiative in an educational setting and how it contributed to the institution's success, so that what you said, people can relate to it through that story maybe?
I don't really have a story because team building is subjective. How you build a team. In what I used to do in practice was, some of the practices that I actually really helped my teams were maintaining central repository, not working, I have done this well, why should I share with another one, because then I will not get the credit. So share by again, not by rule but by a certain policy, saying that whatever best practices that you have, whatever information you have, whatever you have done which has brought good results, please put it in that central repository for everyone to have access. We also practice the buddy system in the organizations, where if we identified somebody who knew very well, you could actually be a buddy to the new person who is joining in, something like what you do in our forces. Then another thing which was very good was, whenever we realize that one person is good in a particular content building expertise, we had a rule by saying each one teach at least two. So on certain days when we knew that the office would be a little less burdened by external forces, like maybe on a Saturday, we would devote at least 2 hours where this one person who was good in one thing while the others needed some training, we would conduct such workshops so that the others were benefited. This, I think, in a very small way, but definitely it was an excellent team building exercise where everybody could open up in that one room. We never recorded that room because we didn't want anybody to feel that, oh, I don't know this, or somebody standing up and saying, oh, you don't know this also. So we never recorded these workshops, so people could openly ask questions and ask what they didn't know.
As an educator who ventures into this domain, this sector, like what strategies or best practices would you recommend for that individual?
As an educator,
Yeah, as an educator.
as an educator, we would have talked about, in this domain sector, you just keep pace with the ongoing advances that are happening in this field. So it's not just about the content; it is how to deliver that content to the best learning environment for a child. I think that is the biggest challenge for an educator. But yes, the educator has to be identifying what's best in its learner,
Like keep on growing, keep on like developing himself or herself.
Keep on bringing change, keep on making
going
it
through the learning curve.
Yes, totally. And interactive is with all the artificial intelligence, etc., things that are coming into the play now. You have to bring in all those strategies. You can't avoid it whether you like it or not. You
so
will
like
have
talking
to
about
learn.
this artificial intelligence, I mean, like for example, writing and research skills, it used to be very crucial in education and also for educators. Do you think these two skills still hold its ground, considering that AI and especially ChatGPT has come in? Do you think educators should still keep on focusing on research skills and writing skills? Because with
100%,
AI and
100%.
technology, it has been quite easier.
100%, because whether AI or whatever may come tomorrow, even if it comes learning from the blank space, unless and until the information is communicated, researched, analyzed, written, how does it reach people? You will still need that. Writing and research skills are crucial to learning and keeping pace both. I've been hammering upon keeping pace, but unless and until you're able to write and research, unless you have that skill of communication being the strongest tool to success in maintaining healthy personal and professional relationships. And professional relationships, when I'm talking about relationships, I'm not talking about a brother and a sister or a husband and a wife. I'm talking about the relationship between information and communication. As you said rightly, that AI and all other factors that are coming into play, they are only providing information or doing something for you which may be easy to do otherwise, if you had done it otherwise. But how are you going to communicate that? There's always a learner and always an educator. There's always somebody who's learning. Not everybody is an expert. Expert is one, but delivering to hundreds, thousands, millions more. So those millions, when they want to learn, how do they learn unless and until the writing which has been given is not well researched? There are many certificates when we talk about individuals improving their skills to enhance their career prospects. There are many certificate-based opportunities to improve these skills. But unless and until these are practiced, unless and until these are communicated regularly, keeping in touch with developments in your relevant domains, pick up topics of interest and explore using media, maybe other answers. So that's how you can enhance the skills. But writing and research skills cannot go out of the system, as I think, for a long time, unless something comes which can even do the summarization of the work and bring out, okay, this is the research outcome of it. Even then, that outcome will have to be analyzed and validated. Otherwise, that outcome is not what, you can't claim one person's deliverance as the final deliverance. Hope I have answered that question.
No, you definitely have, quite in a detailed manner, in a nuanced manner. So these are two skills that are there to stay. So another valuable skill in education-based interventions is project management. And what do you feel about it? As in, like, how can educators benefit from incorporating project management principles into their educational and career journeys?
Uh, well, when you say project management, um, see, project management again, it has a 360-degree approach. It project management can't be, like it's a bouquet of processes, let's say, and bouquet of processes and skill sets. So it cannot be taken as an isolated term again. The principles of project management include correct budgeting, correct skill set recruitment, transparency, engagement and involvement of all stakeholders, defined roles and responsibilities, unbiased assessments, impact parameters. My God, you've opened the complete plethora for me to be able to talk about while setting the SOPs. So there is a full 360-degree thing that you first create, you implement, you define, you assess, you set the parameters, you do the reporting, you do the acceptance, and finally the improvisations on the learnings. These are actually the key features of any good project management principles. And of course, practice it. And actually, once you make the processes, it also helps in one more thing, Alokesh, is that it should not be a person driven project management principle. It should be a project based. So, say, for example, if I have led a project today and for any reason I have to be away from that, there should be someone else who could actually take forward those principles if they're defined in a certain manner and they are being implemented by each one of them who is in that project management team. So it will smoothly run forward. So taking this as part of their educational, not only educational but a career journey also, that you follow the principles, don't follow the person, So I think it should benefit all stakeholders from any level to any level.
Thank you for this insight, Ms. Promila. So, Ms. Promila, I mean, you have seen the education landscape evolving, changing over the past decades, and you know how different trends have come in and went and stayed. Like, looking into the future, what emerging trends do you see in the education sector, in the education landscape, that individuals or educators particularly should be aware of?
I have
And specifically be aware of, like, while planning their careers in this field, or how can they move forward to work in such interventions?
See, what happens is the emerging trends today for last decade, I must say, and maybe for another decade or so, is what we can talk about. Everything is the complete education landscape is changing because of digitization. Digitization and mobile methods of learning is an unsaid rule today. AI and virtual reality being on top of the chart. But what will come tomorrow, I am not sure if I have the capacity to forecast. But learning and earning through gamification, adaptive learning, personalized learning is call of the day, so that individuals have to up their knowledge game and keep pace to forward their careers in the field. There's no escaping that. This is what is today's trend. But I know I have children in the family who are doing data analyzation. They're doing a full graduation in that. They're doing a complete 4-year degree in that. So after doing that and after doing the masters, so unless and until the educator today and anybody who is in the education domain keeps himself updated even on these kind of informations that I'm sharing right now. I'm sharing one because I know it personally. I haven't gone and explored it, but youngsters who want to get into this field should explore. should try and see how they keep pace, and at least keep pace with the expectations tomorrow, because you are nurturing today's generation for tomorrow. So unless you know what's coming in the field, what's coming in the world, it'll be a very scary situation for an education leader. So that's my advice. Please be very, very up to date with information.
I mean, that's very crucial these days.
Absolutely.
So, Ms. Promila, thanks a lot for all the discussion we have had, for all your insights. It has been great learning for me personally after talking to you, and I'm sure our listeners would benefit a lot after hearing whatever you had to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
It was a
Alokesh.
pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, I just want to conclude by saying, at 66, I'm happy the way my career progressed in last 35 years. But with formal education that gives you degrees, etc., will surely open more doors. So in this competitive time, so get qualified, engage with your analytical skills sharply, and then set goals for yourself. Don't just jump into this education field.
Sure. Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
You too. Thank you very much.